Governor-General is hotting up. Former Defence Chief Peter Cosgrove is a front-runner to take over from Quentin Bryce next year.
The Prime Minister's office says no decision has yet been made. Joining us to discuss who will be Australia's next Governor-General is Professor David Flint, the National Convenor of Australians for Constitutional Monarchy. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
A pleasure.
Okay, so we have had media speculation that General Peter Cosgrove will be our next Governor-General, and there's been a bit of consternation about whether or not the process in terms of making this decision, which hasn't been confirmed as yet, is the right way to go, or whether or not we need to open this up and perhaps have more than one nominee, which has been the case in recent years.
Yes, we did suggest that there's the possibility, if the Prime Minister wishes, in the first phase, which is the consultation. Because in 1930, when this was established, it was made very clear that it was agreed there should be a consultation with the palace first, and then the formal recommendation from the Prime Minister. So the Prime Minister would not lose his right, but there's always this possibility of the Prime Minister having very confidential conversations with the Queen. And she, of course, has been reigning for some considerable time and has experience. If the Prime Minister wished to discuss that with the Queen, he certainly could. And Sir Robert Menzies did, in fact, do that. He came with more than one name, and they were discussed. But then Sir Robert would make the formal recommendation, and his recommendations worked out very well.
Well, the only name that we're really hearing a lot about is General Peter Cosgrove. Is he suited to this role?
I think he's superbly suited. This seems to be intelligent speculation. I suspect it's not a leak. I think to me it seems so obvious. He is such a good choice because he's eminent. He's committed to service, not only in the military, but when he left the military and even before, he served in other ways. For example, he's the Chancellor of the Australian Catholic University. He served on boards. He's very much committed to charities. His famous advertisement for Legacy, for example, springs to mind. And he has a fine respect for the constitutional arrangements of this country and would certainly perform very well. He's unusual in that he comes very well known and already very popular to the position. There's no need to be like that, but he has that advantage. He reminds me very much of Sir William Slim, Bill Slim, who had served very closely with Australian soldiers in the Burma campaign in the Second World War, and who was highly regarded when he came, always very popular, very down to earth, and did the job very well.
There have been some other names put forward by various sections of the media as other potential candidates. I understand that former Prime Minister John Howard is one name that I've seen mentioned in some circles, and the Air Marshal Angus Houston as well is another name. What do you think in terms of who would be a good candidate for that role?
Well, they're all excellent candidates, and fortunately it's not for me to rank them, that's for the Prime Minister. There's no objection as such to candidates, appointees, who had been a politician. And we just have to go back to the appointment of Sir William McKell, who was Labour Premier of New South Wales, and Conservative forces were opposed to him, but thankful when he was appointed that, for example, when it came to advising a double dissolution, which is probably within the Governor-General's prerogative, perhaps, but that's not clear, he certainly did his duty, and he performed very well in the position of Governor-General of Australia. So there's no barrier to a former politician. The same with the Air Marshal. Of course, he comes as a very eminent candidate. One of the things that I think is very good in this situation is that people come later in life, apart from princes of the royal blood, who I think are still eligible. We've had two such proposals beforehand. One actually appointed. But apart from them, it's better that someone come towards the end of or after their career, because you don't want somebody who's ambitious. Probably not somebody who's ambitious for the job. I should think that they should have to be persuaded that it's their duty to take the position rather than somebody who has
has their eye on it.
Yeah, has their eye on it. I don't think that's probably a good thing.
Quentin Bryce's term comes to an end in March. Has she been a good Governor-General and a good role model for the position?
She's certainly been a good Governor-General and performed very well, and her offer of her resignation for reasons which were not necessary to resign was gracious. I thought that was very good of her, but it was not appropriate for her to resign. That is,
in terms of Bill Shorten as leader of the opposition.
I saw no problem with that, and a number of my other colleagues who were law professors came to similar conclusions on that. She did, unfortunately, make comments during the Boyer lecture which don't seem to appear, I'm told, in the actual text. So I assume they were off the cuff, and they were unfortunate. Not from my point of view, I mean, they didn't so much worry me, but they divided people. People became upset about that. Now, the Prime Minister hosed down us constitutional monarchists over that. Probably not for the reasons he stated, but more for the fact that it wasn't something for which she should resign. I think it was just the blotting of a copybook, which probably was regretted. It shouldn't have been done because the Governor-General shouldn't go into political matters, because the Governor-General is above politics, and the two matters she raised, that is the Republic and same-sex marriage, are both political matters. They're in the political arena, and the Queen's made it very clear on the question of the Republic that this is not a matter on which she will enter into the debate. It's a matter for Australians to decide. The same with the Governor-General. I don't think that's a matter which a Governor-General in office should talk about.
No doubt it will remain a matter for us to discuss in the future. Professor David Flint, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And this morning we'd like to know your opinion about the next Governor-General of Australia.
Who do you think should be appointed to the role? And we'd like to hear your suggestions for Australia's next Governor-General.
So it looks like